Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another weekly reads video in which I will let you know what I managed to read in the previous week and what I hope to get to this week. Well, I'm really, and I've said this a few times now, that I'm in a really weird mood. I do read, as you will see, but it takes me a while to get through books, and reading is just not the first thing that comes to my mind when I have free time. So yeah, that has been happening. It's weird because I'm not used to that. But anyways, I do read, and the first book that I managed to read last week is actually a gay romance novel called Speechless by Nicole Edwards. And I will admit that I sort of skim-read this one because it's just the type of book that I would skim-read and not fully dedicate my attention to it. And anyway, it's about these two guys who have worked together for a while, but despite there being sexual tension between them, they never acted on it. And now things change and they sort of do that. And the thing is that one of them is this really, his mother killed herself and he was then fostered as a kid, and he has had some bad experiences and he doesn't want to get close to anyone, which is what the other guy wants to do. And also they both have some similarities in their background, but you can see how different people react differently to similar situations, which was interesting, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of sex, there's some dominating and submitting type of sex as well, so if you're into that or not, just so you know. But yeah, it was okay, but nothing special. Anyways, the other book that I managed to read actually took me 10 days to finish, which is weird because it's actually a book that you can read in one sitting if you're in that kind of mood, and it's Royal Bastards by Andrew Schwartz. This is book one in his trilogy, and I think it just came out more or less. So this is a story of bastards. Now, bastards in this fantasy world are not necessarily marginalized, as they were in our Middle Ages. They have options. They're not necessarily at the bottom of the food chain, or whatever. They can be legitimized, they can inherit properties, there can be heirs, whatever. It depends on the situation. So we get to follow four bastards and the princess, because this is a fantasy world in which there are different provinces, and there's also the ruling family, and the princess comes to visit the western province where things take place. And she decides to sit at the bastard's table, so that's how they meet. And they decide to go, to do a little partying that night. And as they do that, they stumble across a situation that they were not meant to witness. And because of that, they have to go on a run, just to save their own lives. It was an enjoyable read, I have to say. The characters are pretty well developed. You definitely see the differences among them, and they have their own issues, they have their own agendas. Each of them has a part in this story. What else? The story itself was actually pretty basic. It was not, something that you haven't seen necessarily, but it was done in a really interesting and fun way. It's an adventure story, it's fast-paced and really enjoyable. There are some plots and twists that definitely, surprised me, even though some of them obviously were somewhat predictable. So yeah, there's that. What actually surprised me most about this book is that, when you read a fantasy book, you expect a certain writing style, but this actually read more like a contemporary. So, there's modern slang in it. There's slang. There's words like dad, high, getting laid, ass, and kid, and things like that. I don't think you see a word kid except if it's about a goat in a fantasy book. So it was sort of threw me off in the beginning, but I did get used to it, and it was interesting, definitely. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to continue on with the series by the time the second book comes out. It's going to be a year, and I have found out lately that I have a really hard time sticking to young adult series because after a year passes, even if I'm excited about the book, I'm not sure, after all that waiting, that I'm still interested. I don't have that problem with adult fantasy books, but with YA I do. So we shall see next year, right? So what I plan to read this week, but this year as well, yes, is actually I want to get to some adult fantasy. And it's surprising that I say that because the book that I picked up is Arabella of Mars by David D. Levine. And it's actually, you know, a young adult, because Arabella is 16 and it is a young adult book, but I do consider it an adult fantasy book. I'm not sure why. But anyways, this is about Arabella Ashby, and she lives on Mars with her family. They have a plantation there, and I'm not sure exactly what they do yet, but I'm sure I'm gonna find out. Or maybe I have and I just didn't take notice. Anyways, she lives on Mars, and she's you know, she's a tomboy, she's very adventurous, she's spunky, and she does things, you know, she hangs out with her brother and she does unladylike things, and her mother has had enough of that, and she decides to take, well, Arabella and her sisters back to Earth so she can get a proper upbringing, you know, to become a lady and all that, and that's exactly what they do. And then a family in the death in the family occurs, and Arabella is adamant to go back to Mars, and she apparently dresses as a boy, which I always love in a story when that happens. And yes, I haven't gotten far in it yet, because as much as I enjoy it, because the writing style is great in this one, I am just, you know, that reading mood that I mentioned, it's sort of stopping me from actually plowing for this book. So yeah, so this is one of my projects. The next one is still A Conjuring of Light by V. Schwab, which I have been reading now for, well, I haven't been reading it, that's a thing. I started like 2 weeks ago, as I was starting also the Waking Fire by Anthony Ryan, which I put down for now because I'm not in the mood. But yeah, this one is going to be a project again. I want to, you know, make a bit headway in it. But I'm also expecting Soul of the World by David Mealing, and if that one arrives, I will be probably picking it up, because I have been talking to Lourdes from Chapters We Love and Michael from Bitten by Radioactive Book. I'll leave their channels down below. If you're a fan of fantasy books, you should definitely follow those two. And anyways, we've been talking and we want to do a buddy read of that one, so yeah, that might happen, but we shall see. Anyways, those are the books that I'm reading, or trying to read anyways. Let me know down in the comments what you are reading, and thank you for watching this video, and see you in my next one. Bye!